Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We always appreciate our audience on Thursdays, 2 to 3. You're listening to the KHTS home station at 12:20 a.m. and 98.1 FM. I have great guests with me today. We are going to talk about your restoration of your home should you have any foreseen circumstance happen. And I think this is something really important that we need to talk about. We did talk about previously, we had an insurance agent on. We talked about some of the fires that we had in the Santa Barbara area, but we didn't have a company come in and tell you how they go about the process and what happens when that catastrophe should and hopefully not happen to you. But we want you to be prepared to know what to do and to be able to reach out to a great company with tons of experience to be able to help with that. So I have with me H&H Builders, and I've got Suzette End, and I've got Mark Salen. Thank you guys for joining me today. And we are going to talk about the company and how we can help prepare you for such a catastrophe. For example, some of the claims that H&H Builder would handle would be fire, flood, earthquake, wind damage, vandalism, just to name a few. So I'd like to bring in Suzette and Mark so we can get some information out to you and let you know what to prepare for and how you would do that. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
So if I have a listener and they have a situation that's happened, such as a fire or a flood or earthquake, what would be the first step you would suggest for them to do if this happened?
So normally what happens is there's a damage to a property, and they would contact their insurance company, and they would ultimately file a claim. Once the claim is filed, in some cases, the carrier would refer them to a company like ourselves to come out and mitigate the immediate damages. So it all starts with kind of the homeowner contacting their insurance, getting a claim going, if in fact it's necessary. In most cases it is. Mm-hmm. And then reaching out to a contractor like ourselves to come in and start mitigating the damages.
So let's just say a flood victim, they, what if they lost all of their insurance contact information, or they might not, they might have to go through some steps to get all that together, contact you. So you would come in and pretty much secure the home and try to get a start on that as the insurance adjuster's working, or you have to wait for the go ahead to get in there?
We can start immediately, but once the insurance company has been notified, and if for some reason they don't have their insurance information, if they know who the carrier is, there's 24-hour a day claims phone numbers where you can call in, and they're able to access the information.
And I just, it's a sad situation when something like this were to happen, and I'm sure it's probably going to take families by surprise, especially if it's a fire or a flood. You're not anticipating something like that to happen. But I would say, do you handle a fire, flood, earthquake, and vandalism differently, or do you handle all those situations the same process?
Well, it all starts out with the same process. After the incident happens, it's necessary to do a damage assessment, which we come out and, or companies like ours come out and do a damage assessment and discuss the process.
So you'll kind of guide the homeowner through what needs to be done, the process, and in this time too, they're probably trying to get some type of hotel stay or some type of stay somewhere in the meantime while their property can be worked on, I'm assuming, if it's in that situation.
That's correct.
Yeah, that usually comes a little bit later. So it really starts with somebody coming home. They've got all this water. They're wondering, what the heck am I going to do? Oh my gosh. If they don't have their insurance stuff, they would search out a company like ours. They can certainly contact us. We come out, we look at it, go, oh my gosh, we've got to start the drying immediately. Then we help guide them and say, hey, this might be a claim situation where you might want to contact your insurance company, and it kind of starts from there. And then once the carrier is involved, they will assign an adjuster to it, and then we handle kind of communication with the adjuster to help things flow nicely And that's where kind of being a restoration contractor versus a regular general contractor is our niche in the industry.
And I would say this is probably, what would you suggest to a homeowner? Because we don't anticipate this to happen, but shall it happen? I know we talked about this a few months ago when I had an insurance agent on, but how do you suggest that somebody documents what's in the property? Because when you come in, a lot of the damage may have already been done. A lot of the items may have already gone down in a fire. How do you document what perishables were there? Or how do you go to estimate what damage was done?
As far as we hope that there's been videotaping that was done of the property itself and what was in the property. And then there's ways of, if the damage is so severe, there's ways of getting possibly the blueprints of the house or the plans for the property, so we can go off of that.
So we're making a suggestion to all of our listeners to photograph your home, photograph the inside, outside, do video of your home, because one, you're not going to remember every single piece of memorabilia or what you may have in that property, and you're in a state of crisis. You're not going to really be thoroughly thinking. So we want to make sure everyone has a video. But we also talked about this before, that we want to make sure they're saving it somewhere on a cloud or somewhere where they can actually access it, not on a video that would be kept in the house that could potentially be in the flood or fire, but somewhere where they can actually receive it anywhere.
Yeah, that's correct. As far as your insurance policy information, if there's a safety deposit box that could be placed in, so that's not destroyed.
Yeah, keep it in a safe environment. You guys are tuning into the At Home with Charlene show on Thursdays, live 2 to 3 on KHTS 1220 and 98.1. And we're talking with H&H Builders about home restoration after you've experienced a fire, flood, earthquake, wind damage, vandalism, anything along those lines. And there's something interesting here that I wanted you to touch on, Suzette, and that's, what is an insurable peril restoration contractor?
Well, insurable peril, insurance is related to the property that's damaged. The perils are fires, floods, earthquake, anything that would cause structural damage. And as far as the restoration contractor, those are the type of contractors that specialize in those type of perils.
And what type of damages would the restoration contractor handle?
It's a mouthful.
I know.
Everything from beginning to end, emergency services to the complete repair, full repair of the property.
What are some of the major claims that you see? What are the causes of some of the damage that you see on a consistent basis?
Fires are a main type of damage that we see. From, it could be electrical, it could be remodeling being done to a property where there's again electrical issues, candle left burning. There could be multiple reasons why there's property damage.
And water's a pretty big one too. So a lot of older homes have older supply valves and hoses and water heaters, and often people will leave their home, one of the valves breaks, the water's running and that causes pretty significant water damage, which would result in having a company like ours out. There are things that your listeners can do to help prevent losses in the future by just inspecting some of the water valves in their houses once a month, once every couple of months. Feel if there's any liquid around the valves. Have things inspected regularly, whether it be your roof or water heater or gas fittings and stuff like this. All of this stuff can be prevented in the event that something were to happen.
And you know what I heard too was, on a dryer, I guess there's the vent that actually goes out, and if that's clogged and it's not properly emptied, that could also create a fire. And maybe a lot of people wouldn't even know that would be something that
That is correct.
could be a potential.
There's a static pressure that ends up in these vent pipes with the
Lint.
the lint, and it can cause a fire. So you want to have those cleaned out regularly. These are the things that people can do to, help prevent having a loss.
So you want to make sure water heater, it's all hooked up properly. Everything with the water heaters done right. Electrical is always done by an electrician. Don't think that you are the electrician. I was always
Licensed.
told that. Don't ever try to do electrical work yourself. Always make sure you hire a professional that knows what they're doing, because you don't want to create any in-wall fire. And we had been told before that you can have a little fire that's happening inside the wall and you wouldn't know, something that's going on, and then all of a sudden it just ignites and you have a problem from there too.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, it's just maintaining your property, making sure that the HVAC is constantly in check, the roof is constantly maintained, your gutter system is maintained. There's many reasons that damages can occur.
And that's important to the insurance companies as well, because if you don't follow up with your routine maintenance on your own home, and you have a loss as a result of not doing your routine maintenance, sometimes it can cost you coverage. Roofs and a lot of times we'll see water leaks under sinks that are not accessible, but they cause all kinds of problems. And so it's really important to just kind of keep up on the areas that could result in a situation.
And let's just say a normal homeowner's insurance policy would cover your normal fire damages or your normal flood damages, or...
Well, that's what I was going to talk about when we talked about another way of preparation is to always speak to your agent, broker, or even carrier and make sure that you are up on what your insurance covers. People don't realize what may not be covered and what is covered. And in having these conversations with your agent or broker or carrier, you'd be surprised how many questions come up. What do you mean that's not covered? Or wow, cool, I've got coverage for that. And it goes back to hotel stays and food during the time that you're out of your house. All policies are different. And so it's really important for homeowners and building owners to at least annually make sure what's going on in your policy. And with the recent fires and stuff, we've seen a lot of issues where folks haven't had the proper coverages just because they haven't kept up on it or for whatever reason. But that's, it's important to always.
And Suzette was saying too, on some of the older homes, they weren't carrying enough coverage. So the cost to rebuild, when it came time to rebuild the property, there wasn't enough coverage to rebuild. So what would happen in that case? The homeowner would have to come out of pocket?
That's correct, in most cases.
So, a homeowner would be out of pocket probably expenses that maybe they're not able to meet or weren't expecting, and just by not carrying enough coverage.
Yeah, that creates a major problem. You've lived in your home for 40 years, and the cost of living and costs of repairs changes. So you always have to stay on top of what your property value is, what it would cost to rebuild, and make sure that you carry that type of insurance.
And since your insurance has to be renewed every year, your insurer asks for your address. They check in, ask pool, spa, whatever else that you have. So you're assuming that your insurer has all that coverage in place, because you don't necessarily know what questions to ask. For example, someone was saying like sewage backup isn't normally in a homeowner's policy, that's something you would have to add. God forbid something like that happened, you would be stuck paying for whatever damage that caused.
Yeah, that's correct. You just want to make sure that the policy is read thoroughly, and some of it is very difficult to understand. But there could be exclusions in there that you don't know about, that you need to understand that. And there's ways of maybe eliminating those exclusions by talking to your broker or to your agent, and as Mark said, to your carrier.
And I would think in a high flood or a high fire zone, you're probably going to have to carry more coverage versus in a tract home where maybe you're not necessarily in a fire zone or in a flood zone, maybe the coverage is going to be a little bit different depending on what those areas are.
Yeah, that's most likely true. We're not insurance brokers or agents, but
Right.
that is the case very typically.
Yeah, I just think how scary that is, because I trust the insurer on the other end that I'm getting what coverage I need to put on my homeowner's insurance.
Well, that's where you don't want to have your head in the sand
Yeah.
and just go, I have insurance, I'm covered. You really do need to participate in the insurance that you have. I mean, just because you've got a policy does not necessarily mean that every aspect of every certain kind of loss is covered for you. So real important to talk to your agent and broker and carrier and get those clarifications.
So we want to make sure all of our listeners are looking at their insurance policies. They're making calls to their insurance rep, and they're making sure that they're completely covered such a loss occur. You just don't want to be caught with your tail between your legs and all of a sudden you're out all this money when maybe you just paid an extra $100, $200 a year and you could have that coverage. Correct. We just want to make sure that we got everybody on the right path for that. So what is considered emergency services?
Emergency services would be, as we discussed earlier, boarding up and making the property safe, because you don't want any liability issues. You could have fire debris near your property, and if you're in a community where there's children, they can get into that and they can get hurt. So you want to make sure that everything is made safe, or if you have a fire and you have an air conditioning unit that's kind of hanging in there for its life, you don't want that to fall on anyone. So that's part of it, is the main portion of the claim or the emergency services is making sure that that property is safe and secure.
And I've known this company for a long time, and we have to get a shout out to Brandon Haber and his dad, Barry Haber. And I mean, you guys have a combined 70 years of experience, and with your superintendent, estimators, supervisors, field staff, you have over 100 years of experience. So you're not a company that doesn't have the backing to do a job and to do an exceptional job. So our listeners who are listening, and you're going to want to hopefully take this number down. I understand you're probably driving, but it's important because this is a company that can keep you out of trouble, and should you be faced with one of these situations. Now, I'm going to say the number a couple times throughout the show just so you have it, but 877-249-4210 for H&H Builders if you're experiencing or have experienced any of these situations that you may need assistance with. I hope no one has to go through something like this, but I just saw somebody out here recently post the other day on Facebook that an unforeseeable fire, I think, started in their garage. And, obviously that can be different chemicals, and that can be, a whole different array of things. And, I think the family was away and kids were at school, and family was working and came back to maybe a neighbor noticing, and their whole house was in a situation like that. So a lot of garage fires, I'm assuming, are an issue as well.
That's correct. I mean, you can have chemicals in the and rags inside the garage that are combustible, that can create a fire. Sometimes if it's an attached garage, you have the water heaters in the garage, and again, you can have issues with that. But garage fires extend a lot of times into the living space of the house, and then you've got smoke and water and all the other issues that are concerning.
So you just want to make sure if you have chemicals in the garage, you're doing a lot of work on cars in the garage, that you are putting everything away safely and keeping it so you don't have a combustible fire at any point. We're going to take a quick break. Hang in there with us. We have so much more to talk about. H&H Builders on my show today. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Santa Clarita's premier senior living community, Oakmont of Santa Clarita, is leasing, bringing comfort and luxury to assisted living. Seniors can enjoy 5-star amenities, panoramic views, easy access to the freeways, and nearby shopping centers in a world-class community that provides an advanced continuum of care. No other community has this kind of luxury and amenities in our valley. You'll find good health, vitality, and purpose at Oakmont of Santa Clarita. Stop by for a tour. Visit oakmontofsantaclarita.com.
Weekends are now exciting in Santa Clarita as Persia Hookah Lounge hosts its House of Entertainment every weekend night from 8 to 11. Thursdays feature a DJ on the hookah patio. Stop by Fridays for performances by Belly Dancer of the Universe winner Jasmina, or Saturdays to hear great local live bands. Persia Lounge also caters for both homes and businesses, starting as low as $8. Discover Persia Hookah Lounge on Main Street, where it's all happening in Old Town Newhall. Persia-lounge.com.
KHTS strives to give the Santa Clarita Valley all the information they need. And when our computers aren't working the way they should, we call Resurgence, your true source for IT. Resurgence provides outstanding customer service while also providing the highest technical ability. They strive to do what is best to improve and protect your business. For more information on Resurgence, call 349-4114 or go to resurgenceit.com.
Mission Valley Bank is a commercial bank in the Santa Clarita Valley that really puts the community into community banking.
At Mission Valley Bank, we strive to be a trusted advisor to our clients, and that means being an integral part of the communities we serve. We started the Give Where You Live program to help bring awareness to our nonprofit partners. We're more than just a local business bank. In fact, we're a full-service, independent commercial bank that is locally owned, community-minded, and relationship-driven. I'm Tamara Gurney, President and CEO of Mission Valley Bank, and I invite you to experience the Mission Valley Bank difference, where your success is our mission. We want to be your most valued bank.
Mission Valley Bank has been named Most Trusted Advisor Business Banker by the San Fernando Valley Business Journal 5 years in a row, and received the Business Leadership Award by the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce, Valley Industry Association, and SCV Economic Development Corporation. Visit them at their Center Point branch location or at missionvalleybank.com. Member FDIC.
Start your finish at College of the Canyons with over 700 low-cost summer classes. They have quick 5- and 8-week on-campus sessions. Don't have time to come to class? Online class options make it convenient for you to take classes on your own computer. Incoming high school juniors and seniors, you can take classes too. Take advantage of convenient summer sessions beginning June 4th, June 11th, June 18th, and July 9th. Visit canyons.edu/class schedule now.
Strawberry lovers unite at the 35th Anniversary California Strawberry Festival, May 19th and 20th in Oxnard. Ever tried a strawberry pizza or strawberry beer? Join the celebration on our expanded grounds with 50 food booths, concerts, rides, arts and crafts, and more. Admission is just $12 for adults and $5 for kids, with proceeds benefiting local charities. Get tickets now at castrawberryfestival.org to the California Strawberry Festival, May 19th and 20th.
Welcome back. You're listening to the At Home with Charlene show, live Thursdays from 2 to 3 on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. I've got with me H&H Builders and Restoration Incorporated today with Suzette and Mark, and they have been so gracious to come and give our listeners some information on what to do in case they are ever in a position where they experience fire, flood, earthquake, wind damage, vandalism, any type of work that would have to require a restoration team. This is a great team. I personally known them for a very long time. A very reputable and great company to work with. So we want to talk about after a claim has been established, what are the phases that take place until the property is fully restored?
So, again, we spoke about it earlier about once the problem has been noticed and the homeowner sees a problem and files a claim, typically they're either going to be referred to a contractor like us or they will have already called a contractor like us, in which case we are on site minimizing the damage, whether it be water cleanup, securing the site, stuff like that. From there, the carrier will go ahead and put an adjuster in touch with the homeowner, and the adjuster will make an appointment to come out and typically see the loss, make sure that the cause of loss is something that's going to be covered, that kind of thing. Once they do that, they're going to turn around and estimate the damages to the property, in which case they are generating some sort of financial obligation to the homeowner to put the house back together the way it was, or the building. And then that's where we would come in and kind of work directly with the homeowner and or the adjuster to properly estimate the damages and put it back together as per both the carrier's estimate and our estimate. So that's kind of, we don't have a ton of time, but that's really kind of the step-by-step process. A claim, start minimizing the damage. The adjuster will be in touch and start discussing the claim itself, and then obviously the mitigation of the immediate damage by a remediation contractor, and then by the same contractor or a different general contractor, they would estimate the repairs to put it back once all of that's done. Because often during the mitigation, they'll cut out drywall, they'll take out wet materials, this, that, and the other.
Because they're trying to determine everything that's going to have to be done, right?
That's correct.
They have to really thoroughly look, just like a car. If a car gets in an accident, it might look like it's the bumper, but it could be the axle, it could be all these other things that you don't visually see. So you're probably having to go into drywall and see behind the walls what else needs to be done.
That's correct.
So is there a typical time of the year where you see more flooding or fire damage or anything than any other time? Is there a specific time frame where you're just like, this is the busiest we're usually at, we see a lot of things happen at this time?
Well, there's two things. Obviously, fire season is something that can cause problems around some areas when it's fire season. And then water, it can be very typical during the summertime because a lot of these losses are caused by air conditionings and condensation lines breaking and stuff like this. So as far as water is concerned, there's no real rhyme or reason. Now, if you get into storm damage, water from roofs and stuff like this, obviously during the winter times, you're going to have more water from rain and things like that. But typically water pipes breaking and slab leaks and these kinds of things, it's hit or miss. I mean, it's year round, and
And I know when people purchase a property, there's always a home inspection that's done so that they can tell you if there's anything major wrong with the property or any major concerns that need to be done. But let's just say somebody's lived in a property for 10, 15 years and they haven't had any type of inspector come, because things can change. You know, things are no longer new. They wear and tear over the years. I mean, would you really suggest somebody having their property inspected every year or every couple of years at least, just to have everything looked at and make sure it's running properly? Because visually it might look like it to you, but maybe there could be some issues.
I think there are aspects to one's property that should be inspected regularly. So, for instance, over the years I've told people, always check all of your supply lines and supply valves. Clean out underneath the sinks, because where the water services the sinks, it's often hidden and they can be in bad shape. So if you have those inspected regularly, and regularly can be once a year, once every couple of years, something like that, just to make sure that all of that, it's not super expensive. You get a licensed plumber out and you say, hey, I'm concerned, my house is a little older, I'd like you to come out and make sure that all of my plumbing fixtures and whatnot are in good shape. A lot of times the valve on the regulator to the house sometimes fails. And what happens then is, instead of running 70 pounds of pressure through your house, you're running 150 pounds during
which is
whatever, and that's
ruin your pipes.
That's going to blow out your valves and your hoses. And so these are things that are, it's not super expensive to have people look at it, but it's super important.
Yeah, I think we randomly check all of our things too, and I think our water pressure was a little bit higher one time for some reason, and we had to make sure we had that adjusted just a little bit, because he was saying the pressure running through your pipes can spring small leaks here and there, and then you can have a problem. So that's a really good point to bring up, because if you just keep the pressure going through your property correctly, it can eliminate some of those issues that you might have in a small fine line fractures in the pipes or small leaks and things like that can lead into something much
absolutely correct.
Bigger.
Now, even with the small fine lines, or there might be a small pinhole, those things develop over a period of time, and then we get into an area which is kind of a sticky wicket, but microbial growth. So another thing is to be able to use the best feature on your face, and that's your nose, to see if there's any odor that doesn't seem right. And at that point, you would need to contact...
I mean, it's a good suggestion. Just walk around your house, double check your water heater, see if anything's leaking, double check your washer, dryer, make sure your vents are all cleaned out properly. And I'm not talking the vent that goes into the dryer. I'm talking about the exhaust that comes out from the dryer that can get clogged and that can create an issue over there. I also saw somebody the other day that they had a ceiling fan. I saw this posted on Facebook, and I guess maybe her son had thrown a sock up and it had gotten into the lighted section of the fan area, and they smelt something burning, and they were thinking, what is that? Well, finally they realized that it was coming from that area, and they got a chair, went up there and pulled a sock down, and the sock had caught fire. You could see where it was burning. I mean, a simple thing like that, where they could have had a really bad situation happen where that could have caught their house on fire.
Yeah, so listeners, make sure you check all of your light fixtures for socks.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm going to say right
When
there.
you have children, you never know. You never know. I mean, even in your dryer vents, they could shove toys and stuff in there, and then your lint can't get out properly. You just never know. But it's a good idea. I mean, it's a great idea to go around your house and just make those visual checks even yourself, just to see if anything's having an issue or leaking or something looks different than it normally would, to keep everything safe.
Yeah,
now,
if you do see something different, then you can maybe go the next
Right.
level and bring a professional out and
Exactly.
go that direction.
and keep your house safe. Now, how this is another question that I have. How do you know that the insurance company is paying the correct amount of money to bring the property to the pre-loss condition?
So that's always kind of a question. So what happens is the insurance adjuster will come out to the property and most likely write an estimate based on what they see, and using an estimating program that's well accepted from the insurance industry. They'll write an estimate for, say, $20,000 and say, Mr. Homeowner, this is what we're going to give you. It's $20,000. One of two things can happen. The homeowner can say, oh, okay, I'll take the $20,000 and I'll do it. And then they'll search out a contractor and say, can you do this? And whatever it is, they're going to have to pay whatever these contractors say. The other option would be to work with a contractor like ourselves and have us come out and actually give an estimate before they accept the payout from the insurance company. It's legal, and it's always good to do that, because it's almost like getting a second or third opinion. If somebody's going to have their kitchen redone, they're not going to have one person give them an amount of money and put it back together.
Or if let's just say the insurer is going to give $30,000, but you're saying the damages are minimum $45,000.
Exactly.
Then you got to do a little bit of work back and forth to make sure that the property's done in a proper way back to its, like you said, pre-loss condition.
Yeah, and one of the things that I want to add is when an insurance adjuster comes out, they're an insurance adjuster. When a restoration contractor comes out, they're the ones that are actually going to be able to do the job, so they can justify the costs on what it needs to be to get that property back.
So then the contractor and the insurance companies just kind of go back and forth, work it out a little bit until they kind of get a happy medium.
A little bit, and that's why that's the importance of, and I know it's on our sheet somewhere about the difference between a general contractor and a restoration contractor. There's a lot of communication that takes place with the insurance carrier, the adjuster, and even the homeowner that restoration companies are familiar with. Not to say that general contractors can't come in and estimate the work and build it, but there is that negotiation, if you will, between the contractor and the carrier / adjuster, and as well as the homeowner, because the homeowner gets involved too and says, oh, they're only giving me $30,000, and I know this is $50,000, and you get that
Now,
you get that involved as well.
Would you say this is a prime example of why you would have a video of exactly how your property looked prior to something happening, so you can show, if they're saying I'm going to only give X amount of dollars for this, but you're thinking, no, look at what we had in here. This was prime quality such and such. You could show. Does that make a difference?
It depends on the nature of the loss or the damages. If you're not able to see what was there, then it's very important to have that information. But making sure that also that you have any receipts that you can keep for your high-ticket items. It's important to have that so they can see what
like
what it
remodeled
costs.
kitchens, brand new flooring, high-end appliances, just to name a few, I'm
That's
assuming.
correct.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, I'm learning a lot today, too. You guys are tuning into the At Home with Charlene show Thursdays from 2 to 3, and I'm here with H&D Builder, H&H, sorry, Builder and Restoration Incorporated. And we're just talking about how and what we need to do in if a fire, flood, earthquake, wind damage, vandalism, anything like that happens or occurs to your home. And we were talking about how do we know that the insurance company is paying the correct amount or the money to the pre-loss condition. And that's sort of determined between you and the insurance company. And there might be a little bit of back and forth to make sure they pay out exactly when it needs to be paid out.
That is correct. There's a lot of estimating that goes on when you put something back together. It's almost like anybody who came in to estimate a custom kitchen. You could bring 4 contractors in, and there's going to be kind of numbers all over the board. In this case, the insurance company uses a program that it relatively accurately estimates a rebuild on all of these different materials. But it's not something where they're putting a price on something that they're going to have to put back together. And so it is important to have a contractor specifically that can estimate these types of work in a real world. And if it does turn out to be a little different, there is a conversation that takes place, and it's a friendly conversation, and the adjuster says, okay, yeah, you're right, I'll do this, and you kind of have that thing, and then it's ultimately settled at a place where everybody is happy. We can do the work for that amount. The homeowner says, great, and the adjuster says, here you go.
Now, if I were to choose a contractor, how do I know that I'm working with a legitimate contractor?
One of the ways is going to the California State Contractors Licensing Board, and you can put in the name of the contractor and find out a lot of information about them, how long they've been in business, if there's been any marks against the contractor, if there's any issues, whether or not they carry workman's comp insurance, and so on and so forth. That's one way. You can also get this through word of mouth, asking around, even talking to the insurance company, because as we're concerned, we've been around for a very long time, so we're known in the insurance world.
Right, and you probably have enough referral sources that can basically say we've worked with them over a number of years and they've always done a substantial job for us, and they'll do the same for you.
Yeah, we can provide, and other companies as well can provide referrals that people can contact those referrals, or going by the jobs that they've worked on. So they
and
can
it's
see.
so true. I had financial advisors on a couple weeks back, and they were also saying to check and make sure that you have that they hold the right licensing too, because I guess in their industry, not everyone has to be licensed, or it's a little bit different too. And you could always check anyone that's in a field that has to be licensed, real estate agents, mortgage brokers, contractors, things like that. You should look. Look and do the research, because you want to make sure that if you're saying, hey, you know what, this is a 6-month to a year project that I'm bringing you in on, you want to make sure that the job's being done right.
Now, that's correct. That's correct. And if this is just a little side note, if you're being approached by a contractor and it's not the owner of that construction company, you want to make sure that they present you with what's called an HIS license through the Contractors Board. And that HIS license, the person that holds that, has been thoroughly fingerprinted and checked, background checked, and that will give you some maybe
peace of
comfort,
mind to
yes.
know that they've gone through that. I mean, on our side too, with mortgage banking, we have 2 licenses. We have to go through all the fraud checks. We have to go through fingerprinting. We have to go through all those too, so that when somebody knows that they're giving us their personal financial information, that we're going to hold that with our utmost respect, and we're not going to take that information and give it to somebody else or share that information with other people. So same in the contractor world. They want to know, because I mean, sometimes they assume that a contractor won't show up or doesn't do the job. I mean, that's a fair statement, would you say? I mean, a lot of people are afraid sometimes.
Yeah, the contracting world is there's a lot that goes on out there, and the good ones are good, but the bad ones are bad. It's almost like attorneys. I hate to say that. I hope none of your listeners are gonna
But you want to make sure that you're doing the right job, and we definitely try to do that every week. We try to make sure that we're keeping our listeners informed. We're bringing them information. We're letting them know that there's people that we work with who are on the utmost as far as their conduct for work, and that they follow through, and that they're a good source for them. So I think we're going to take a quick break, and we are going to come right back. So don't go away. Stay tuned.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
Or call 287-4200.
There is only one language spoken at Thai Dish, and it sounds something like this.
This is great.
Once people get a taste of Thai dishes, there's really no reason to do any more talking. Make it full of flavor, make it delicious, only at Thai Dishes. Enjoy the atmosphere, love the food. Thai Dishes on Valencia Boulevard for free delivery, 253-FOOD. That's 253-FOOD.
Oh,
Hi, this is Dr. Palucki. Tired of paying too much and getting too little when you go to the doctor? Unlike so many frustrated medical doctors now dabbling in functional medicine, it's been my expertise for over 25 years. More than just a non-toxic alternative to conventional medicine, functional medicine focuses on restoring health instead of just treating symptoms. So before you ask your doctor which class action suit is right for you, maybe it's time to get better with Dr. Palucki. Go to drpalucki.com for an exclusive online first visit offer.
Welcome back to the At Home with Charlene show. On Thursdays, KHTS, your hometown station, on 1220 AM and 98.1 FM. I've had the pleasure of sitting with Suzette and Mark with H&H Builder and Restoration Incorporated, and just a great company, great people, and just a pleasure to have him here. But we have a few other things that we want to make sure that we make very clear to the listeners, and so that you're aware of these items. When you are faced with a situation of fire, flood, earthquake, damage, vandalism to your property, and you consult your insurance companies, do you have to work with their preferred contractor?
You do not. What happens is the insurance company will often have a referral list or a vendor list that's approved by that carrier. They will then refer them out. If this person comes out and you're for some reason not comfortable with them or not liking them, you can certainly always use whoever you want. What they will do is come out and do an estimate, basically on behalf of themselves, but at the direction of the carrier, and provide an estimate for the work to be done. If you want to get a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, outside of that, your friends and your family have referred you people, you can certainly do that and use whoever you want.
So would you say that if I am contacting my insurance company and they give me an adjuster, that the adjuster is more apt to working for the insurance company than they would be for myself? Rather, if I were to bring you in as my...
Well, the adjuster does different stuff than what we do. So the adjuster comes in and adjusts the claim. That's why they're called an adjuster. So they come out and they're going to look at what's going on. They're going to put pricing on it. you would think that the optics would show that the adjuster is trying to save money for the carrier. Okay, so through the industry, you kind of think that. Me personally, I don't believe that that's the case. I think that they come out, they do their adjusting, and some adjusters are more experienced than others. Some are actually contractors of old. So you get all sorts of different kinds of adjusters that will adjust your claim. Theoretically, they are supposed to be working on the carrier's behalf, which you're paying the policy. So really, they should be working on your behalf to put you back in your home.
Right.
But really, I'm going to leave it at that.
I understand. I understand what you're
leave
saying.
It right there.
And Suzette mentioned a good thing on our break, and she said that your company has the ability to finance the work and possibly have some type of payment schedule. I think that's really big that people should know.
That's correct. We can set up a payment schedule, but we finance the job and go through different phases of that job, and we find out from the insurance company, what the payments are going to be to the homeowner. So we work with that. We don't demand money up front and then leave you in the lurch. We do finance the job as the process goes on.
So if you were to sum up your company and the people who work for you, and you could tell the listeners why you're set aside from somebody else, what would you say?
Well, I think it all starts with our ownership. Brandon and Barry Haber, they've got a huge amount of experience in the industry. They're well known in the industry. They've built great relationships over the years. And in our industry, even though it seems kind of like a vast industry, it's really not. The insurance carriers and adjusters all kind of know each other. And we have built a relationship, or they've built a relationship for the company that is stellar. And if you do talk to other folks in the industry, you'll find that our company is well positioned to help not only the policyholders but also the carriers adjust these claims, because in the end, what we do can very much help the carrier get done the work that needs to be done for the homeowner. Our staff, our supervisors, our on-site superintendents, Suzette, myself, we've all got 20 plus years in the industry. We're very experienced. We're a team-oriented company, and we put the homeowner and the building owner first. And so I think I definitely know that we're the go-to company in our industry.
And there's something to be said about customer service and taking care of the client, because I think there's a lot of people, there's a lot of companies who don't always think about that part of it. That customer service is huge. Customer service is what builds your business, and it builds your business for that client, and it builds your business for referrals. It builds your business for, years to come, and that reputation that you have.
Yeah, that's correct. And one of the things that we hope is that we end up putting somebody back in their property. They have a smile on their face. They refer us to friends and family that have situations similar to theirs. But the quality of the work that we do, we stand behind everything that we do. And if there is a hiccup, we're right there to put it back together.
And I definitely know that about you guys and your company, and all the guests that I bring on the show are of the utmost in the business and in the industry, and are very well thought of, and do have great amount of respect by their peers and referral partners and things like that. And I just think it's great when you have that type of reputation, because that can really build your business and make it what you need it to be. But what do you guys have planned for summer? I was just thinking, what are we doing for summer now that we're getting this hot weather coming in? What are your guys' plans?
We're geared up for fires.
I've got a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old, so I look forward to spending some family time and work, exercise. And
so in their school district, do they have 7-8 weeks off, or do they get a longer summer period?
I'm going to defer to my wife, but I'm
she
I'm
knows.
going to guess 9 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, when we were in school, I remember having a much longer time. I think we had 3 months off when it was summertime, and I think these kids have 7-8 weeks now. When
they do
when
different stuff now. They
around.
do, a week and a half for spring, and then sometimes 3 weeks in the winter time. So they do all kinds of different stuff these days. So,
what about you? Any big trips?
In my mind, I would love to have a big trip, but you would look at me and find out that I'm a grandmother, so I get my grandson for a period of time during the summer.
Oh, I mean, my mom looks forward to hanging out with my daughter too. My daughter's 12, and she loves to spend time with her grandmother and do those things too. But I really want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I just want to make sure you guys have the information. H&H Builders and Restoration Incorporated. The number again, 877-249-4210. Personal friends of mine and just a great, great company. If you need them for any of your needs, like I said, fire, flood, earthquake, wind, damage, vandalism, anything that you can think of, please reach out to them. I know they'll do a stellar job. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We appreciate our listeners. We appreciate you. Have an amazing week, and we'll catch you next week.